So the other one on here, if you look at the first one, it says that you're going to invest 12.5 as compounding quarterly at 2.7%. How long in years would it take you to be worth 20 grand? So you have to solve for time. Okay. So you know that it says you're using compounding quarterly, so your amount's going to be your principal, 1 plus your rate over n, the n times t. So in this case, we're solving for t because it wants to know how many years. So you want your amount to equal 20 grand, I think?
Yeah.
You're starting out with 16.5?
12.5.
12.5, thank you. Your rate is 0.0217, I think?
No,
027. For some reason, I thought I said 027. And quarterly?
4.
correct.
4.
So what we wind up having to do here is we need to first divide by the 12.5, and then we have to figure out what that equals in the parentheses, because we'll have to log base whatever that is. So you divide out by 12.5. You get 1.6. On the inside of the parentheses is going to be some number to the 4t. In order for us to get that 4t to drop so we can solve for t, I'm going to have to take the log base of whatever this is in here. Remember that?
Yeah.
So all we have to do is type our alpha window 5 for our log base of this, 1 plus 0.027 over 4, of that number, and that will equal then 4t.
It's really close to 1. It's 1.006.
Okay. And I believe when you divide that out, you should be close, was it, we did this earlier, I want to say it was like 14 or 18.6? So it was 17 and a half, right?
17.466.
I knew there was a 4.6 in it, so. Yeah, so about 17 and a half years would take to make up the 20 grand. Money doesn't grow on trees, guys. It takes a while for interest to start accumulating.
Why 40?
Because that was your estimate. Because it was compounding 4 times, it was quarterly.
I thought that was now.
Correct. But then to the NT is here. The one below that, people had a lot of questions on earlier today as well. Guys, keep it down. People forgot what to do with this exponent. This is the second one on that from Friday. So first thing you gotta do is subtract out the 31 and then divide it by the negative 11. So right there you have the negative 44. From there you divide it by the negative 11. And we're going to have 4. So e to the negative x is 4. Natural log it, that drops down the exponent. So we get negative x is the natural log of 4. And then what do you have to do to get rid of the negative? Yeah. So then you wind up with x would equal the negative natural log of 4. But yeah, again, all you have to worry about is you're just plugging and chugging a bunch of numbers in as well. You can make that work. Yes, sir.
When do you eat?
When do you eat it?
Yeah, you always said you eat it, and it was like. Never mind.
When you have that's how you that's how you get rid of natural log. So if I have natural log of x is 4, I have to undo natural log. Remember, natural
That's
log
when you-
is log base.
So if it was
E.
like log base 3, then you would 3 it.
Correct.
Then it would be 3 to the 4.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep, that's all it is. What's up?
Can I get this one? I was.
Yeah, I got it.
All right.
What else you got?
I'm not sure. Lion King.
So no, she had a shirt from the Hawaiian football game.
Not the button fell.
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah, I can do.
Good. It's right here.
77.
Sure.
On the first packet.
Yeah.
We didn't do that. Our team, we didn't do 77. And I was like, we'll do it. It's like, that's like 2 periods.
Oop. All right, so we gotta tell if it's arithmetic. If it's gonna be arithmetic, the common difference between all of them would be the same. So all we have to do is just take and subtract them out. From here to here is what, 200? Negative 200? All right, so I'm gonna say it's arithmetic with the common difference of negative 200. So now we know that the rule would be first term plus n minus 1 times our difference. So our first term was 16 plus n minus 1 times negative 200. So that means I'm going to get negative 200 n plus 216 for my generic rule. Distributed, so I get 16 minus 200 n plus 200. Now, from there, they're asking for the 52nd term. So if I want a 52nd term, all I have to do is substitute in 52 for n. And it's for 3 terms after the last one given. Oh, what that means is the next term in here would have been negative 784, negative 984, negative 1184. They're just saying what are the next 3 terms after the last one given. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
It'd just be the next, well, subtract another 200. Hey, Mr. Shooting, any more calculators?
I think
I grabbed a couple of them.
I have 2 more.
You grab them.
I got 2 of them.
You need pencils?
Might.
I will look. Yeah, I think you need this for testing.
Usually, because knuckleheads don't bring pencils.
They just do that in the budget check.
It's crazy to control. I mean, Sophia, I have children.
Nice to see you.
Does that help on that one, Martin? Yeah. Where you got, Stephanie? Oh. Hey, Tuna! A student was waving to you. You didn't see her. She's very heartbroken. Miss Stephanie was saying hi to you. You didn't notice it.
Oh, hi. I love you so much. Thank you.
You all.
You didn't say that to you.
What's up?
Number 67, number 68.
I said don't worry about those two because they use combinations. We usually do the population combination.
You should know what 85.
What's that? 85?
The same.
After 84.
But in that
They said that this was an arithmetic sequence. Write the formula. So you have a sub n.
it says series, but it doesn't have series.
Oh, it said, the sum of that many of them? Okay. Remember, when you're doing the arithmetic series, you still have to know what your nth term is for that. So they want to add up the sum of 35 of them. So we have to do the first term, and then it was, no, it's n, sorry, I got that, keep mixing that up, plus your nth term over 2. So they want you to add up 35 of them. So we got to figure out what the 35th term is to put here. We know what our first term is 25. So the 35th term is going to be the first term, 25. Oops. Plus, well, I'm looking at an end value of 35, so I just substitute in. 35 minus 1 times my difference of 8. And that'll give me my nth term. Substitute all that back into here. We're going to get 35, 25 plus whatever that was over 2. And that gives me the sum of that.
But don't you have this before, like, solve for the equation of man and then plug in 35
We that was when you had to solve for the how many did you have to add up together to get to it.
Oh.
Okay, that was a little bit different. So this was just what's the sum of 35 of that.
Okay.
Okay. Yes, sir.
What chapter is
Sequence is in series. I think that was 11.
But you give us the formula for the sum.
Yeah. Okay. I see. What do you got?
The one I think you gave us on Friday, you use a number 3 and number 5.
Secant is the inverse of what trig function? Cosine. Where is cosine positive?
On the
1 and 4.
Where's cosine positive? So where's secant positive? 1 and 4.
Oh, okay. So wait, between, so what would you put for the answer?
Quadrants 1 and 4.
Okay, and then number 5.
So you're getting.
If cotangent is 108, if x equals the cotangent of 180, what must be true? Well, what does x have to equal? So cotangent at 180 would be here. What's the ordered pair there? -1 and 0. So that means that cotangent is what over what?
That's what I don't know.
Well, what's tangent? So tangent is sine over cosine. So cotangent would be cosine over sine. Cosine is which of the two values, the x or the y?
X, sorry.
The x value. So that means it's going to be -1 over 0, which is undefined.
Okay.
So the cotangent 180 is undefined. I lost you.
Oh, it's on.
Working on quadrantals. When you're working on your quadrantals, it's either going to be ones and zeros.
Why is the cosine negative? I thought it was sine cosine. Or is it cosine sine?
It's cosine sine. Because remember what comes first in the alphabet? Cosine or sine?
That's no shit.
Yeah. Does it make everything much easier now?
Kind of. Sorry, but it's right, I think. I think I got it.
Okay, but then if it's cosine sine, why is it 3? Why is it 1 and 4? Why was it?
Oh, because your x values are positive in quadrants 1 and 4.
Yeah, but it's. Oh, it's the.
Secant's the inverse of cosine.
So the
Yeah.
cosine is 1. Okay, that makes sense. Just because it's the inverse, it doesn't change anything?
Ventilation system got shut off.
I'm confused on all the positive and negative.
Spin them.
Like, I don't know like what one representation is. So,
2 pi.
negative 35 pi over 12.
Negative 35 pi over 12. Guys. Shh. Okay. 12 goes into 35 how many times? 2 and how many are left over? So this is -2 and 11 pi over 12, which means you went around 1 full revolution negative before you came back to here. Okay. So positive and negative coterminal angles, once your theta, your original theta, if it's within 1 revolution, you just add and subtract 2 pi. This one is beyond 1 revolution. It's more than 2 pi or -2 pi, which means I only have to get, first of all, I have to get it within 1 revolution and then go beyond it again. Since I'm negative, I need to go add 2 pi to this. If I was positive, I would subtract 2 pi to it. I need to back it into 1 revolution to make this positive and negative coterminal. So by adding 2 pi, I get to negative 11 pi. I add 2 pi to that, which is 24 over 12. I wind up at, what is it, 13 pi over 12. Those would be my 2 positive and negative coterminal angles. Whereas the other problem on there starts you within 1 revolution. Negative 5 pi over 4. Negative 5 pi over 4 spins you here. You're already within 1 revolution, so all you have to do is add basically 8 pi over 4 and subtract 8 pi over 4. Because you're within the 1 revolution rule. Does that make sense? Well, you're adding 2 pi. I'm just keeping the common number.
How do you find the length of an arc?
R times theta.
R theta?
Yeah. Where theta is in radius.
Yeah.
Misspelled it. This was exponential. It was increasing that it increasing rate. That won't work with decimals. That only works with polynomials. So if it's not working, you don't, yeah, it doesn't work like that. That's why we that's why you have to remember that if it's exponential, it means it's increasing and increasing rate. The difference is in the y value being greater. Yeah, that's okay. Yes, sir.
On this 33, I
Yeah.
don't get where you said you add 2 pi and you subtract another 2 pi. That would get it out of the whole thing.
Which is what you want. You want it, if you start within 1 revolution, you're positive, you just add to it. You're negative, you subtract to it, and that's all you have to do.
Oh, okay.
If you start beyond 1 revolution, you just have to get it within and go beyond.
Okay, so you take the negative 5 pi over 4, and then you can subtract another 2 pi.
Correct, and then you would add
From
to.
that.
Mhm.
Okay.
Yep. So you have negative 13 pi over 4 and 3 pi over 4, I believe.
We have questions when we're on 3.4.
Oh, you're. Don't forget your calculators and your books. Need them both on that day. Are any of you guys taking the ACT the weekend after we get out of school? Well, I'm just reminding you. So, nobody? All right. So, what do you do with your calculators then? Yeah, bring it to Ms. Thomas. She knows you guys will be coming in, and then she's going to put a big box ready for Mr. Fontana. If they don't get checked in, Mr. Fontana will call and yell at you a lot. He might even show up at your door. And then,
He's going to be in Florida.
No, we're gonna be.
no, Tennessee. Remember, I'm helping you guys.
Yeah, that's right. Hey, when are we gonna be back? Yeah, we have to.
Right,
We
you're
have
gonna
to come.
be back.
Yeah.
When are we leaving?
Since when is Bryce coming?
Oh, I forgot to tell you that, didn't I?
We'll be listening to Walk of Life. Never. It was always
Right, you never got invited.
It was always me.
Do people usually go on this front grade wise, like average? What if people said it's easier? Yeah, can we like take a trip to Freakout? Actually, can we?
They're busy.
No, they're probably sleeping. We're talking about it without this.
Well, it's an AP test, so who cares?
So,
What else we got?
And then he got racist.
on whether it's like,
General solutions are all your solutions within.
I'm talking about, like if it's sine and then root.
Hold on, guys.
So let's just say it's sine x negative root 3 over 2 or something. So like would you, and then you have to draw the triangle and then figure out
You need the actual-
I don't have it.
Oh, you're trying to figure out.
Because, and then it says like find the cosine of that.
Oh, what angle has this? Is what you're saying?
No. Okay, so it's negative. So how do you know there's a negative when you're drawing?
When you are drawing this out,
Yeah.
where do you, cotangent is which reciprocal?
Tangent.
Tangent. So if tangent, if you're trying to figure out where to place tangent negative, what quadrant would you have to place it?
The third or the second.
When you're finding that, when you're working with inverse functions,
Second or fourth.
it would be,
Yeah, second.
tangent is found between these two. When you're finding an angle, you're finding it between those two. So you're going to place it in the fourth quadrant. Cotangent is, bless you. Cotangent is going to be cosine over sine. So that means you're going to go 2 to the right and down 3.
So if it were cosine, then
Sorry.
What does arc?
Inverse. It's just the other way.
so if it were cosine, then how would you know? Like if it was instead of arc cotangent and it was arc sine or cosine.
If it was arc cosine, then I would have to place it into the second quadrant because cosine is negative in the second quadrant. Remember, if you're trying to find an inverse, if you're trying to find a place theta, this is basically you're placing theta. Sine goes 1 and 4. Cosine goes 1 and 2. And then tangent goes 1 and 4 as well. With open circles on 90 and
So you
180.
have to figure out where it would be negative and then
Right.
cosine.
Yeah. So then you get here and you're at, what is this? We had 2, negative 3. We have to figure out their hypotenuse. So we have what? Square root of 13, I believe? 9 squared, or 3 squared and 2 squared would be 4 and 9, so 13. So we'd have a root 13 here for the hypotenuse. So the cosecant is the inverse of what trig function? Sine. Sine would be opposite over hypotenuse. Cosecant would be hypotenuse over opposite, would be root 13 over negative 3. So it would be negative 13 over 13. Yeah,
So how do you tell in between two positive quadrants?
because it's negative.
But if it were positive, that would make it negative.
Then I would put it here. No, remember, if you're trying to find a sine of some theta, is going to be found between. That's how it does.
So how do you know whether it's 1 or 4?
Is it going to be positive or negative? Remember, it's
But
going to be
if
the
sine-
positive ones are going to be your what do you call it? Your acute angles. These are your obtuse angles. Okay. And that's the same deal with tangent. Cosine, it's easier to see with cosine because if you take cosine of 150, you're over here and it's negative. Okay.
Can you do the secant of negative 25?
Secant of negative 25 over 3?
Yeah.
Negative 25 over 3. Well, 3 goes into 20 how many times? And how many are left? 2. So what I need to do is spin around negatively. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. There's my 6th pot. Now you would have to go 2/3. When I go 2/3, that's going to bring me here. It's going to leave me a reference angle of what?
60.
Pi over 3. So I have a pi over 3, 60-degree angle, and secant is the inverse of what trig function? Good. So we have root 3, 1, 2. So if I'm looking for the secant, I do the inverse of cosine. The inverse of cosine is 2 over 1. And now is cosine positive or negative in that third quadrant? Negative. So my answer would be negative 2. Jason. So.
So how do you, this is just gonna be a sample question, but how do you solve for sine of 3 over 2?
What angle has the sine value of root 3 over 2? So root 3 over 60, so what? So there's your.
But isn't sine root 3 positive, so sine of 60 gets down?
What it's doing is since it's positive, it's looking for the 60-degree angle. If it was 120, then it would be negative.
Isn't negative 60 still root 3 over 2?
Negative 60 is yes.
So how do you know whether it's positive 60 or negative?
Depends on the, if your root 3 over 2 is positive, then it's positive.
But root 3 is sine of hypotenuse.
Right, but if it's negative, then it's not. You're overthinking it. It's a lot easier than you think. Yes.
Easy now.
Is cosine positive negative? So, yep, that's one. Yep. What else you got? You guys will be fine.
What did you want to be when you grew up? Like when you were like freshman in high school?
TV meteorologist.
Really?
Yep.
Are you still interested in weather stuff?
Oh yeah. I almost did all of it. The